Okay, pause. It's not going to happen, so cut me some slack for titling the video in the way that I have. We're making this video because of an article published on Montreal Hockey Now the other day by Marco D'Amico. Take a look at this piece on August 28th. The Cole Caufield extension should come soon to avoid offer sheets. Hey, what do you say? We're talking about Montreal, and we're talking about the possibility of yet another offer sheet presenting itself on the books. Now, I say yet another offer sheet, it makes it sound like there's been a lot in the past. Well, there has been two, but at the same time, two isn't really that much, right? It's just kind of funny how it's occurred with the same teams each time. Montreal, Carolina, Sebastian Aho, Montreal, Carolina, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. But because of that entire offer sheet fiasco that we had seen take place over the span of 2 years or whatever the heck it was, now all of a sudden, the offer sheet is something that you actually have to be careful about. And when it comes to the player we're talking about in today's video, there is a very good reason as to why Marco D'Amico has written the article that he did. Why the Canadiens should go out there and sign Cole Caufield sooner rather than later in order to shut down that offer sheet possibility. Cole Caufield is a Montreal Canadiens forward who is 21 years old, 5'7", 165 as a right-handed shot, but you did not need me to tell you that. You already knew that, because Cole Caufield is nothing short of a celebrity. Haha, get it? The pun? Short? He is nothing short of a celebrity in Montreal because of the things he has done as a member of the Habs. Ever since getting drafted by the team in 2019, 15th overall as a steal of a draft pick because he was supposed to go somewhere in the top 10, Cole Caufield has done nothing but impress, with the NCAA's Wisconsin Badgers over to 2 seasons with that team, to the Montreal Canadiens before his full rookie season playing in the playoffs when the team went to the finals, to actually playing in his rookie year last season, suffering under Dominique Ducharme, exploding again under Marty St. Louis. Cole Caufield is a talented player. And he is one of the best sub-5'8" players the Canadiens have seen in a very long time suit up on their roster. So, when it comes to what Caufield can do in his sophomore season under a full year with the guidance of St. Louis, who knows what the 21-year-old is going to be capable of accomplishing. We had already talked about this in the Slavkovsky video, or the Slavkovsky line video, talking about how Cole Caufield could realistically go out there and maybe get 30 goals on the year. If everything goes right and he plays well with Suzuki, he might be able to get 60 or 70 points depending on if that production follows in the same way. But at the end of the day, he still has 1 season left on his entry-level contract, making $880,000 a season. Needless to say, the Cole Caufield extension is probably going to be pretty beefy, as Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton will likely want to go out there and clamp this guy down for the long term, in the same way that Bergevin had done with Nick Suzuki. Cole Caufield honestly has done enough, in my opinion, to justify giving him a longer-term deal, maybe something in the realm of the, let's say, $5 million, $6 million guaranteed kind of range. Obviously, it's tough to go out there and judge that based off of a guy who has only played 1 rookie season in the NHL, but he's been so gosh darn good that it's difficult to really go out there and say that he deserves anything less than what the sky could offer him. This is what the article goes out there and says on Montreal Hockey Now. Over the last few months, the Canadiens have been moving out long-term contracts that would hamper their ability to sign their top youngsters to lucrative deals. Caufield is likely to be the first major signing of the Kent Hughes era as it pertains to key RFAs within the organization, and the belief around the league is that it will get done prior to or during the season in order to avoid the risk of an offer sheet. With Caufield now entering the last year of his ELC, he's been eligible to negotiate an extension since July 13, and it looks like he'll be signing his new contract sooner rather than later. But here's the thing, because if you go over to a first-year NHL player who had 43 points in 67 games played and you say, hey, we need to give this guy a new deal. He's 21 years old. How much do we give him on an extension after he put up this season as well as put up a 12-point performance in 20 postseason games going to the finals in his pre-rookie year? Honestly, it's tough to really go out there and shell out a tremendous amount of money to a guy who's only played 1 rookie year so far. It's not like I don't believe Caufield can't be a $7 or $8 million caliber guy at the NHL level. It's just the resume hasn't been there, I feel, to justify with 110% certainty that yes, a contract like that would be the right decision. I know I'm kind of committing treason by making that comment, but it is kind of ludicrous to go out there and give that kind of money to a player who is relatively unproven compared to other players who have played longer periods of time on their ELCs. I honestly wouldn't be too surprised if the Canadiens waited a little bit throughout the 22-23 season before signing that Caulfield contract because, hey, if he starts out the season getting 2 points in 20 games, you wouldn't go out there and give him a $6 million AAV contract. However, if he goes out there and starts the season off with 20 points in 20 games, you might be a little bit more willing to go through that territory. It's all a risk at the end of the day because Caulfield has only played, 80 NHL total games, but he still has been so impressive in those games despite the fact that the Canadiens were firstly in the finals, so there's a lot of pressure there, and secondly, a terrible team in 2021-2022. And so, I could honestly see it going both ways, to be completely honest here. The uncertainty because of the small sample size, the uncertainty because of the small frame. Also, the certainty because he's just been so gosh darn good everywhere he has gone, from the NTDP to the Wisconsin Badgers to the Canadiens, a short Laval Rocket stint in there. Cole Caulfield has done nothing yet to show anybody that he is not capable of the tasks that are put in front of him. With the exception of playing under Dominic Ducharme, which was quickly retconned when Marty St. Louis took over and did what he did. And so for Cole Caulfield and the idea of an offer sheet to come in here, if you're really going to go out there and say that that idea exists, what you're really betting on is the idea that some other team in the NHL wants to bet on that potential and what we have seen so far in the very fantastic, albeit limited, sample size that we had just talked about. If there's some other team that says, okay, you know what, screw it, I don't care if he's only played 87 games in the NHL, he is good enough to get $7-8 million a season. Let's sign him to this offer sheet, we'll give up the compensation, multiple firsts, a first and a second, whatever the heck it is, and we're just going to say screw it, because if Caulfield's scoring 50 goals by the time he's 24, 25 years old, we don't care about those firsts or those seconds, we have a 50-goal guy on our team. At the same time, though, the offer sheet is only interesting when the actual player decides to make the signing himself. That's what we've always talked about when it comes to offer sheets. The offer sheet doesn't work if the player does not accept. And so, for Montreal, I do think that there's a big amount of love that the city and the player share for each other. Montreal fans love Caulfield, Caulfield loves Montreal. I think it's been a pretty evident sort of pattern to see that throughout the year, as we have seen this relationship blossom into what it is now. And so for Montreal to go out there and potentially get a second guy, sign an offer sheet away from their team, I could only imagine how heartbroken some Canadiens fans would feel if Caulfield decided to do that. Like, I mean, if he gets like a $10 million AAV salary, then okay, he'll sign it. Like, no reason to not get the bag when you're 21 years old. But that's kind of what we had to deal with Jesperi Kotkaniemi, a 1-year, $6 million AAV deal. Yeah, the Hurricanes overpaid to hell for Kotkaniemi because they just wanted to get back at Montreal. Kotkaniemi only said yeah because, hey, $6 million, that's way more than I'm worth. Sign me up, baby. But in the process, he made a lot of enemies in the Montreal fanbase because of it. After the Canadiens fanbase put their faith in this guy getting taken 3rd overall in 2018, over Zadina, over Hughes, over Brady Tkachuk and everything, the reception for Kotkaniemi was quickly turned around the second he signed that offer sheet. And so for Cole Caulfield, while he quickly became a fan favorite because he was small, he was a steal, he was 15th overall, etc., and he was really good for the Canadiens, all that fanfare would go away the minute he signs that offer sheet, if that's even a possibility. So for Marco D'Amico in his article, I wanted to read one more little paragraph over here. The risk of offer sheets. If Caulfield can hit the ground running this season, it wouldn't be the least bit surprising to see the Canadiens lock him up by Christmas to get him at a better cap hit early on and ensure that he isn't poached on the open market with an offer sheet after July 1st, 2023. Usually, NCAA players who burn the first year of their ELC to play in the NHL at the end of the season are not eligible for offer sheets when their contracts expire, and that's because they don't usually play more than 10 games to close out the calendar year. Classified as 10.2 in the RFA list, these players are exempt from receiving offer sheets from a rival club if they play 10 or less games in the season where they burned the first year off in their ELC. Caulfield played 10 games with the Canadiens in the 21-22 season and played another 20 games in the playoffs, meaning that he did cross the threshold and would be considered a regular RFA moving forward, thus making him a prime target for the offer sheet. And so, when it comes to how the Canadiens are going to navigate this, talk in the comments your thoughts about Cole Caulfield and the possibility of an offer sheet. How much do you think the Canadiens should sign him for in his contract extension? Let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.